All right, well, it's that time of year again, and if you're anything like me, you want the greenest yard in the neighborhood. So naturally, the first place I thought was, hey, let's do some soil sampling with Ward Laboratories. So I got Terry Buettner here, support agronomist, with me that's going to help me know how to take the sample, how much sample I need, and what my soil results are going to tell me when I'm done. All right, Terry, well, where do we start?
Okay, well, I have here a soil probe, and this is what most people use to sample fields. A lot of homeowners don't have access to this. We'll demonstrate how this works, and then also I'm going to show you, if you don't have a soil probe, how to sample your lawn. So I'm going to give this to Ryan. We're going to do an 8-inch sample, and so what I like to do is kind of move the thatch out of the way and expose the soil, because if you get this in there, that can affect your organic matter level when we perform the analysis, and so I'd like it to be as correct as possible.
So we want to see as much clean soil as possible.
Right.
Just push it in?
Just push it in and go down to about that far.
Okay. Oh wow, Terry, you barely even disrupted your yard.
Yeah, and the next time it rains or I water, this will just fill back in. You won't even know we disturbed the soil.
So a lot of reservation is probably that people don't want to dig a bunch of holes in their yard.
Right. So now we have the sample. We'll put that into the plastic bucket. We recommend using plastic because metal buckets a lot of times are treated with galvanizing, and that is zinc based. And so if you use some of that zinc from the bucket can get into the soil, and that'll affect your zinc parts per million on your soil result.
So if I don't have a probe, show me how that.
Okay.
What tool should I use for that?
Okay, I've got here just a little regular garden trowel, and so what I would do in this case is I got to expose a little more area to try to get down, and this is marked in centimeters, which isn't going to help me a lot, but this is about 8 inches. So I'm going to sink this down and then just try to work it out, and this I might have to go around and just kind of
essentially you're cutting a chunk of sample out there.
Right. I'm going to have to just kind of cut, otherwise we're going to dig out a whole bunch of sod. And there's part of it, and I'll get in and get the rest of it. And then you've got that. And on this, I might take and try to pull a little bit of that off just for the organic matter again. And then just toss it in the bucket. Now, you left a little bigger hole. It'll still kind of work it in, but it's better than taking a big garden spade, and you'd have to strip the sod, and then you'd have a hole underneath it, and that would be a lot worse mess than what this will be.
So Terry, how many samples do we need to take in a yard this size? How many square feet is this yard?
Well, I've got both the front and the backyard, over 40,000 square feet, almost an acre. So we recommend on 40 acres, if we're sampling in a cornfield, say, 15 to 20 cores. Well, because I have a soil probe and I'm an agronomist, I go around this backyard, I sample them separate. I do the backyard and then I do the front. I'll zigzag across this whole yard, and I'll try to get about 15 cores in the bucket.
And then random different spots. Is there any rhyme or reason to that?
Right. Well, you just want to try to cover, as much of it you can, taking into account all different soil types. On this lawn, I have 2 soil types. Up closer to the house, we had to bring in some dirt when we built the house. That's more of a silt soil. As we move forward to the back, that's a sandy loam soil.
And can you mix all those?
On a lawn I do. On a cornfield, we like people to kind of separate them, in a bigger area. But on a lawn I do. And so I'll get, some out in there and then go up to the heavier soil and back to the sandier soil. And just kind of, like I said, a zigzag's how I like to do it. And just to cover the whole yard.
All right, Terry, so the spot in the process where I'm at is I've power raked my entire yard. I overseeded the whole thing, and then I put a starter fertilizer on it, 10-10-10 NPK. Where do I go from here? What will my soil test tell me to know how to fertilize moving forward?
Well, and I'll tell you, fortunately, last fall I did sample both my front and my backyard. I have the results, and then I think maybe we'll go inside and I can show you what that looks like.
Let's take a look.
What the fertility recommendations are and kind of how to meet those needs.
That'd be great. Thanks.
All right, so here we have the soil test that I did last fall for my back lawn that we were just in a few minutes ago. And we'll start going across some of the analysis on top. On the left, my soil pH 7.2, real common.
real close to neutral, and I'm totally fine with that. My organic matter, 3.6%, and I think that's pretty good for my soil type where I live. But then I move into nitrate, and so I have 6.1 parts per million. At 0 to 6, that comes out with 11 pounds of nitrate in the top 6 inches of soil. So then we go to phosphorus, 28 part per million, pretty neutral. And then potassium, 152, kind of just below the low end a little bit. So then you look across at my other nutrients, they're all sufficient. I don't have any need of any more of the macronutrients or the micronutrients. So then down at the bottom, you look and you'll see the recommendations. And so for my lawn, I need to apply during the course of the season 95 units of nitrogen. I need to apply 15 pounds of P2O5 phosphorus. I need to apply 30 pounds of K2O potassium. So I already took care of the phosphorus last fall with my winterizer fertilizer. This spring, through a fertilizer retailer we work with here at Ward's, I got some K2O potassium and applied that. And so I need to apply 95 units of nitrogen over the rest of the summer. And I will do that in about 3 different applications because nitrate is a soluble nutrient. And so it can leach out of the soil. And like I said, when we were outside, I mean, mine's a mix of some silt loam and some sandy loam. And so I want to not lose my nitrogen into the water table.
So Terry, sorry to interrupt you, but what did you put on in November?
Okay, what I did in November, I put on the product I found had just a little bit of nitrogen in it, and it had enough phosphorus in it to take care of my 15 pounds that I was recommending.
So how long does that last? You put it on in November and you're still going to account for it here?
Yeah, no, the phosphorus doesn't move, so it's going to be there all season long. The nitrogen the little bit that was in that product, the grass still used it last fall.
Okay.
And put it, basically I put my lawn to bed, in a healthy state.
So based on this report, it's nice that you got fertilizer recommendations. So that's a nice addition there. Is there some type of a baseline that says, your K's at 152 part per million, it should be at 252 part per million, or what is that? Is there any baseline there?
No, it is really not. Like potassium, for example, regardless of crop or yield goal, when we make recommendations, once we get to 200 parts per million, we don't recommend any potassium be applied. Phosphorus, once we get to 50 parts per million of phosphorus, we don't recommend it anymore. So knowing, and we have a chart that's available on our award guide that's on our website that'll show you the different levels for all the nutrients that are listed here, as far as what is low, very low, medium, high, very high.
Okay, so I've got my recommendations and I'm set to go to the lawn and garden store, the hardware store, something like that. And there's a variety of different options for fertilizer. One retailer specifically has an application 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they all have something different on the bag. Knowing that I need to put 95 parts of nitrogen on per acre throughout the growing season, what do I buy and when, and is it necessary to split it up?
Yeah, like I said, on nitrogen, it is because it's a mobile nutrient. And, you're going to probably have to water your lawn here in Nebraska in the summertime. And so that the excess nitrate can leach out of the root zone. And so then the plant can't use it. So what I do is put on smaller amounts, and I'll do it about 3 different times. So like 95 pounds, I'm going to look for something that's kind of a 2800. And what that means is for every fertilizer analysis, first number is nitrogen, second number is phosphorus, third number is potassium, always. And so I want something that's got nitrogen in it and nothing else because I've taken care of the P and K earlier. So that's kind of how that works.
And so that's how you base, when you go to buy your fertilizer at the hardware store or the lawn and garden store, that's how you determine what you need is based on those numbers on the back.
That's what you look for.
Okay. Well, Terry, I'm excited. I finally have an idea what I'm looking at here. I'm ready to go pull some samples and then go buy my fertilizer.
All right.
Thanks for your help.
You bet.